Hey there everybody, welcome back to the final update of Silent Hill 3. Last time we just escaped from an evil carousel of doom and fought some horrible past memory of our murdered evil past self. Sure. And we found ourselves in a very long, narrow corridor filled with, well, what appears to be something of a prayer for what I'm assuming to be the prominent cult in Silent Hill? Maybe not, as we continue our way through. It's actually kind of hard to make heads or tails about, well, what the cult actually has in regards to beliefs. It's usually in the past games meant to be fairly vague, but here they really try to expound it out and explain it, and well, considering this is the last part of the game, it's not really going to get a whole lot of explanation. It just gives the appearance that the people of this cult believe that a road to paradise will open up whenever this god is born and cleanses the world. But, as we've seen so far of what the god can do, the road to paradise is apparently paved with horrible grating and really awful sound effects and just bloody corpses everywhere. And without further ado, I guess it's time to find out where the road to paradise will lead us.
How did you get here? It was Vincent, wasn't it? He led you here. When will he cease his meddling? But it's just as well. Luring you here also serves my purposes.
Checkmate.
Not yet. The time is not yet at hand. The time when all will be forgiven their sins. When the paradise we have long dreamed for will arrive. After the judgment and atonement, an eternity of bliss. Oh, Alessa, the world you wanted is nearly here.
That's not what I want.
Not you. Alessa, your true self.
But I am Alessa. My little Claudia, my dear sweet sister.
Alessa, is it you? Oh, how I've missed you.
I don't need another world. It's fine the way it is.
But you said it yourself. The world must first be cleansed with fire.
But that's not what I want now.
Alessa, don't you want happiness? Have you become blind to all the hopeless suffering in the world? We all need God's salvation.
Listen, suffering is a fact of life. Either you learn how to deal with that or you go under. You can stay in your own little dream world, but you can't keep hurting other people. Besides, I'll never forgive you for hurting my father.
I wish only for the salvation of mankind. But for that to happen, the world must first be remade. And for that, we need God.
You self-righteous witch! No one asked you to help!
What is growing within you? You despise me, don't you?
You're damned right I do!
That's good.
So Heather trying a little bit of psychological reverse psychology on Claudia, or at least trying to. Well, didn't actually work out too well. There's actually no reasoning with Claudia. She's pretty much dead set on her ideas. And up there, we actually find some stained glass. One of them, is the one in the center, is actually supposed to be us, or what God we're supposed to give birth to. It's really convoluted and nonsensical. And we also picked up a tarot card. That tarot card is going to be part of the final door puzzle that we're going to have to solve in here. The chapel isn't really that long or that complicated. It's just got, well, backtracking, which is fun, and it's also got plenty of enemies and narrow corridors, and it's also got a lot of cinematics. So you may notice the length of the video. Well, that's not going to be helped. That's just the state of things to come. But in this main worship room here, we got some pictures on the sides of the wall. They're actually, well, something of the creation story for the religion. First one here is just kind of stating that in the beginning people were somehow immortal, but they fought each other and they just could never die. Kind of a bad way to be. So, in the second picture we get snake handler and a woman with some reeds in her hand. They apparently prayed to the god of the sun or something like that, and God felt pity on them and allowed them to give birth to a baby. And that baby, I guess, quickly grew up, wrapped herself in some red curtains, and became God. And when she became God, she gave them rules and regulations to allow people to be happy, and also took away their immortality. So kind of a double-edged sword, I suppose. Also, the god decided to create some helpers, and I'm not going to pronounce them, but one of them is pretty much what's considered Pyramid Head, and the other one never really comes up. You can actually see Pyramid Head if you pause the video back in the upper left-hand corner there. I guess he looks kind of confused reading a book. But with the creation of those two other helpers, it somehow drained the goddess of her power, and she died. So not the best god ever, but I guess it really took a lot out of her. And that final one that I skipped over I actually looked at first, but it basically said, do not despair, the goddess will come back reborn, and well, that's kind of what Claudia is trying to do right now. But we actually get our map for the area, as opposed to the Lakeside Amusement Park, which did not have a map. And that is adorable. Now, it may not seem like there is a lot to the chapel via this children's drawing, but as we'll see later, the more we explore, the more of the map is uncovered. But near the map is this confessional. It appears that someone is in there. And let's be nosy and see what's up.
Dear God, please forgive me. I know I'll be put to death for the sins I've committed. And I'll go to my death gladly and with a peaceful heart. But please, grant me just a small piece of your everlasting mercy. let me see my child once within your golden gates. Deliver me not to hell, but to purgatory. Allow me to atone for my sins there. I'll stand within the very flames of redemption, no matter how they burn me. Forgive me for my wicked act of revenge. And deliver the soul of my poor murdered daughter. Please, also care for the soul of the girl whose life I have taken. God, I am a child, trembling with fear as I stare at death. Soothe my tortured soul with your infinite mercy. Please, forgive me.
So this may seem like a fairly tough decision to make, but what we're going to do is just say nothing. This woman is clearly looking for the word of God and forgiveness from God, and, well, an acceptance of ourselves as God is really not the way to go. Actually, if you do forgive her and what you think is the nice way to go, well, you'll actually be leading yourself down the bad ending, and, well, we definitely do not want that. So, just decide to say nothing and continue on through the chapel. And we see the final and fully upgraded incarnation of the Closer, and I will honestly say never fight them. They take a lot of damage, they do a lot of damage, and they're really not worth the effort. They're usually in open enough spaces where you don't have to worry about them, but yeah, these insane cancers are another thing entirely. We do need to take care of them. Thankfully, hopefully you have been hoarding your shotgun shells like crazy, because they come in very useful in this final area. Thankfully, though, they never do introduce an upgraded insane cancer. These guys are just bullet sponges and taint-kicking sponges no matter where you face them. Thankfully, that little sit-up and swing attack they do doesn't ever really seem to connect with me. So that's probably for the best, because that probably does a stupid ton of damage. But there are a number of little sleeping quarters, very barren, very empty, throughout the chapel complex. And this one actually has some information regarding the halo of the sun, which we can now understand since, well, a sun-based deity was what was actually in the cult in the first place, apparently. But it just goes to explain what the three circles mean, and that apparently if, well, you paint the symbol blue, it's actually a curse on God. Does this ever come up? Not really. Not ever. And you may remember that first insane cancer ended up taking about 6 shotgun shells, and that's apparently because you really need to lay into their taint. Just kick away at their taint as much as possible. Apparently these little baby kicks actually do a reasonably good amount of damage. Yeah, that time it only took half the number of shells, so if we had to fight any more insane cancers, it would be a good idea to know. There are plenty of creepy set pieces waiting for us, though, because we actually needed to make sure and pay attention to where those little crying children's footsteps went, because without knowing where they went, we wouldn't be able to know to move the picture and allow us access to the rest of the level. Before we continue on, though, there is I almost want to say this is a altar room of sort, but it's honestly hard to tell. We do find this is actually a save symbol. It may look like it's just background flare, but this is actually a full-on save symbol, and Heather just recounts some of the information we just learned about the symbol meaning reincarnation and past, present, and future. But I'm going to go ahead and look at some of the paintings on the wall, such as Saint Jennifer. This is actually someone that was originally mentioned in Silent Hill 2. She was a martyr for the religion, and then she was killed. Not much else on that. Then we have Saint Alessa, who was both her own mother and daughter. That's very Freudian, I'm sure. But Heather seems to see some resemblance in the picture. I don't really see it myself. And she kind of comes to this epiphany that the woman or mother is Alessa, who died 17 years ago and has all this bitter hatred, and the baby is herself, who wants I don't know. It all makes sense. Heather wants to stay alive, and thus she will fight the power. And St. Nicholas, nothing is ever made of him. That's just kind of a picture on the wall. And don't be worried about Fatale over there. He's just... He'll continually crawl back and forth. That's all he'll do. Oh! The missionary? I already killed you. No, this is actually a normal enemy, known as a scraper. He is just pretty much a smaller version of the missionary, the boss. And he is, well, kind of dangerous, but 2 shotgun shells, he'll go down pretty hard. And being as we're now in a library, there is plenty of reading material to go through. Yet again, feel free to pause the video at your own leisure if you want to read these pages more in depth. But this first book, the basic idea that it wants to get across is that, well, as new settlers and immigrants come into an area sometimes, they will take in and accept the ideas of the other local indigenous religions and shape them to their own beliefs, which is why Well, the Order's idea of the native religion seems to have angels and gods and all that, when instead the Native Americans had a much different idea. And that's also why the idea of the creator of paradise and the Lord of Serpents, both an angel and a demon, might actually be interchangeable and the same thing. But a cinematic is going to be coming up, and I'm sorry if it seems a bit off.
Hiya, Heather.
You show up everywhere, don't you?
You make me sound like some kind of unwanted pest.
Well, who are you anyway?
Haven't you realized that yet?
Yeah, you're on Claudia's side.
I told you not to put me in the same category as that mad woman.
Well, you're pretty loony yourself.
It's true. We believe in the same God. But I'm quite sane.
So why did you help me out then? Was that also part of trying to resurrect God?
It's not uncommon for people to worship the same God and still disagree.
God? Are you sure you don't mean devil?
Whichever you like. The point is that now I really am on your side. I don't want God to be born. Wouldn't be convenient. Much too...
So you've been using me to stop Claudia, is that it? Do your own dirty work.
My dirty work? I think we both had our own interests in mind. You hate her too, don't you? You're the only one who can get it done. I don't have powers like you two. Besides, I always hated getting sweaty.
Oh, really?
I'm just looking out for myself. Everyone does it. Don't stand there looking. You come here and enjoy spilling their blood. And listening to them cry out. You feel excited when you step on them and snuff out their lives.
Are you talking about the monsters?
Monsters? They look like monsters to you? Oh, don't worry. It's just a joke. By the way, I forgot to ask you. Did you get the seal of Metatron?
What's that?
You don't have it? Leonard was carrying it!
You mean this thing?
Yes, that's it. As long as we have that, we're fine. Here, take this.
I do apologize for how choppy that cinematic got. Hopefully you got the gist of it, and that, well, Heather is kind of figuring out that Vincent is purposely leading her around in hopes of having her kill Claudia, and, well, we're going to figure out why more specifically later on in this video. He also happened to give us a book regarding the seal of Metatron. Not sure if that is the exact same as the seal of Metatron, or if that we should really worry about that extra R. But it's basically a magical seal that doesn't really... it's not really based on whether a person is evil or good. It's just powerful all around, and it will do something. We don't actually know what, but, well, I'm sure it will become very important later on. We also received another tarot card, and there's actually a book here about tarot cards. Now, there will, like I said, there will be a puzzle later on regarding tarot cards, and the hard mode version requires Roman numerals and math, and thankfully the normal version is not too hard to figure out. But apparently it was based on the Hebrew alphabet, and there might have been an additional tarot card in a yet undiscovered version of the tarot, and that apparently extra card was supposed to represent God. So perhaps we are the 22nd card. But for right now, there's nowhere else left to explore on this floor. Just a lovely, fiery, endless visage going on. So a lot of the environments we're going to be seeing, well, they're actually not meant for, well, they're not spawned from Claudia's own mind, since this is her chapel, but rather, well, they're actually things connected more to Heather, Cheryl, Alessa. And if you remember from the fight we had with the missionary, it's actually Claudia's want to stir up these memories and aggravated feelings within Alessa / Heather / Cheryl. Apparently it's, well, feeding the god inside her. And whether or not this particular room full of corpses has anything to do with that, it's a bit hard to say. Maybe it's just trying to rile up the idea within Heather of the injustices and murders that the cult has done. But this room is a little bit more evident as to trying to rile up some emotions, because this is actually a recreation of, well, Harry Mason's bedroom from the apartment. Except now it's much more bloodied and dilapidated, but there is a diary waiting for us here. And it's actually Harry Mason's diary. And in all honesty, it seems to really counteract the idea of trying to, well, aggravate Heather, and the fact that, well, it just kind of shows that, you know, in the end, Harry loved Cheryl, and Cheryl was Alessa, and, well, inevitably Alessa was Heather, so it didn't matter the name of the girl was still his daughter, and, well, he still loved her. And that comment doesn't really make a lot of sense, since Dahlia Gillespie was definitely not a sweet or caring person. But as we leave the remake of Harry's bedroom, we are assaulted by two scrapers, and that's more than likely to try to remind Heather about, well, the fact her father was grisly murdered. So, in case you forgot that from earlier on, you get assaulted by two of them. And we get another fine example of, well, the crying, bloody footsteps of a child. Just very excellent sound work going on. Also get Vittel just doing his damnedest to keep the reincarnation idea going. Now the question remains whether or not these small children's footsteps are actually Alessa or possibly some other poor entrapped souls of children laying around the chapel. Get yet another tarot card. We also find a book that for some reason Heather wants to read but feels that maybe she shouldn't. It's a rather odd feeling. Is that Agloaphotis? Apparently it is a red liquid referenced in Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, if you've followed Madonna at all. And it's apparently a magical remedy for fighting off against demons. It's apparently in very short supply though, so it's kind of weird to find it referenced here. We also get Heather recounting some more of Alessa's memories of being burned and being used as a vessel for the forthcoming god, and just clinging on to life even though deep down she really just wanted to die. Maybe the god was keeping her alive and keeping her going rather than letting her die. But yeah, this room is just a recreation to stir up those memories and, well, try to get Heather pissed off and get Alessa to come back out. But it's not all bad news in this room, because we actually do get our final ampule of the game. I think that puts us up to about 5 or 6, so we have a good number of full heals, just in case we have any troubles with the final boss. Also, as we leave, we have 2 insane cancers, but we're never going to have to come back here, so fuck all these enemies. I don't want to fight them. And we have a much more cleaner, organized room here. And this is actually meant to be, well, Alessa's bedroom as a 7-year-old child. And maybe this was that beautiful altar that Alessa was originally thinking of, rather than the church we saw before. And for those that had played Silent Hill 1, this particular drawing of Harry Mason might seem very, very familiar, as this was actually Cheryl's drawing block from the first game. And what we find inside is the puzzle, or the riddle, to helping us solve the puzzle of the door located in this room. Apparently we're going to have to find 5 tarot cards. I think right now we're at 4. And we're going to have to sort them in a particular order on the door to allow us access, well, through the door. I don't think I said door enough. Now I'll explain it more whenever we actually place the cards in the door, so don't worry about that. But we do still have one more key to get, and, well, backtracking. Yeah, as we backtracked back to the beginning where we found this locked door, we noticed that, well, there's some pretty noticeable changes going on within the decorum of the world. And we won't bother that insane cancer. Instead, we'll go back to school, I guess. Yeah, one of the prime focal points for, well, distress for any child is going to school. But for someone like Alessa, where she was constantly hounded by apparently both classmates and the teachers, being called a witch, being told to die, yeah, this was definitely a pretty detrimental place for Alessa's mental state. But it's not all bad, as we kind of can tell from this particular notebook. One of her teachers apparently was actually kind of concerned about, well, seeing all the bruises that Alessa would come in having, and, well, just the fact that she looked like a very unhappy and dark child. But she wasn't exactly sure if she should contact a lawyer or what she should do, so she kind of just let it slide, and, well, that kind of turned out for the worst, I should say. So I think with each room it kind of presents both a positive and negative to the situation rather than just expounding endlessly on the negative portions. But we find a working tape deck, which means that that tape we got a while ago we can now finally have a listen to.
Do you know about what happened here 17 years ago? You've been here a long time. You must have heard some details.
A group of pagans, blinded by earthly desires, spit in the very face of God. They tried to use the seal of Metatron to prevent God's awakening. But God drove the unbelievers away and threw them into the abyss. But due to their wickedness, God was unable to be born properly. And so, she has slumbered ever since, in the womb of the Holy Mother, until the time of the awakening. That's all that I know.
That's it, huh? Well, thanks.
Father Vincent, I heard that the Holy Mother has been found. Is it true?
Alessa has been found? Did Claudia say that?
Yes.
Then it must be true. Her sight rarely fails her.
Bless the Lord.
Maybe it's because of her great faith. But I could never be like her. I wouldn't want to.
Nor I. The truth is, Sister Claudia frightens me a little.
Well now, let's both show our faith by forgetting about this little talk, okay?
Yes, but does that mean this land will finally be the home of eternal paradise?
If God wills it, my sister. If God wills it.
So we get a little bit of back and forth between Vincent and another member of the order, or the church, and whether or not we ever find out more about that particular woman. I was trying to read up a bit online about this person's particular bedroom, because at the end of this particular list of I don't want to say discretions, basically Father Vincent has been kind of using the church for his own gains, such as monetary or extortion-wise, and it was being kept track of by this particular person, LS. Now, nobody's actually sure who LS actually is. There was some rather weird ideas I was reading up on, such as it being the daughter of James Sunderland, but needless to say, it just kind of points out how, well, Vincent, as we already kind of assumed, isn't on the up and up. And actually that first bedroom we were in was actually Vincent's room. But here we actually are in Claudia's room, as we have just found her diary, which we will now read because, we enjoy invading people's privacy. It's just basically pointing out that, well, Claudia does have some powers. It's apparently some kind of psychic foresight or something of that nature. It's never really pointed out. But what this diary also points out, as it continues through the days, is that, well, Claudia really wasn't an evil or a bad person. It's just that she, well, is kind of naive in her ideas. She understood that there was suffering and bad things going on in the world, such as reading a modern history of refugees and young slaves, child exploitation. But she kind of felt powerless, probably from her younger years of being beaten by her father and probably ridiculed in school. And she felt the need to figure out some way to fix all the evils in the world, and What better way to do that than to cleanse everything with fire? But she didn't have all horrible memories. No, she still has this birthday card. And this birthday card is actually from Alessa. They apparently went to school together. They were friends. Probably, misery loves company. But that's why earlier on, Claudia and Alessa / Heather were referring to each other as sister. But we got our final tarot card. Don't go on that door. That door's a trap. There's like 4 or 5 scrapers in there. But yeah, now that we have all 5 tarot cards, we just had to head back to Alessa's room. And I love the fiery effects on the walls. And they definitely do not make it easy for you to get back to that bedroom. They do spawn in a few more enemies. They make it, well, a bit harder to make out where things are. As it almost seems like the chapel knows that you're getting closer and closer to, well, the precipice of danger. And also something I didn't notice before, but the tail is actually still, well, harassing that poor nurse, who's apparently probably the representation of Lisa. And Lisa, well, he kind of considered her a placement or replacement valet and kind of a roadblock to the reincarnation. But that's just a little assumption for symbolism. Maybe it's not true. But let's go ahead and use our tarot cards to finish this final puzzle. The first one I'm going to go with is the Hanged Man. This is probably the easiest one to figure out because it said that the Hanged Man is down in the center and underground. So if we consider the middle to be the ground and the top to be the sky, then it's pretty easy to figure out from there. I do mess up a bit here because I was remembering that there was a mention of a crown, and I thought that meant that the moon, which was supposed to be over the crowned fool, was actually the high priestess, but no, it was actually supposed to be the fool. So we just need to switch the moon and the eye of night. And the door is now unlocked.
What do I want? Well, for the 2 of you to die, that would be nice. Then I could relax.
When did you stop believing in God? God lives. Just look around you.
But I do believe in her. in my own way. I fear her, and I adore her, but I haven't lost my mind like you. You think that this is the work of God? Isn't this all nothing more than your own personal nightmare? Just like Alessa 17 years ago? If this really is the work of God, then I'd say she has lousy taste.
You mock God? Traitor. You will go to hell.
Not that again! Who do you think you are, claiming to know God's will?
Go home, Vincent.
Home. This church is my home. I built it with my power. The power of money that you view with such scorn. Although I admit that this atrocious scenery is all yours.
If you continue to get in my way,
Did you kill me? Well. Well. The guest of honor has arrived. Let's get this party started. Heather, go ahead and kill this crazy bitch. This demon who claims to speak for God. The time has come. You can kill her now.
you'll go to hell!
What did you do?
Nothing important.
You're not going to run? I guess this is the end.
No, the beginning. As Vincent said, the time has come. Alessa, I'm saddened that you didn't agree to this on your own. But I thank you for nurturing God with all the hate in your heart. It's time for mankind to be released from the shackles of sin which bind them.
But a God born from hatred can never create a perfect paradise.
Happy people can be so cruel. Is it so hard to believe that sympathy could be born out of pain and suffering? Why do you reject God's mercy? Why do you cling to this corrupt world? You know that only God can save us.
And save you too? Happy ending? I'd rather go to hell.
No, I don't expect to be saved. And that's fine. Alessa, my dearest. For the pain that I've caused you, I deserve no mercy. Even if it was to save mankind. It was too deep a sin. It was hubris for me to try to hasten the day of her arrival. Sacrifices were made. And those are my sins.
If you feel so guilty about it, why don't you go to hell? Heather, use the seal.
Vincent? The seal of Metatron?
Now your stupid dream is over.
Oh, that's just a piece of junk. What do you think you can do with that? Do you really think it can kill God? I'm sorry to see you fell for my father's foolishness.
What?
You're pathetic. But God loves even you. Now, Alessa, there's nowhere else to run. Just accept it, Alessa. The pain will disappear. Waiting so long for this. Even as a child, I knew I would see the coming of this day. I knew I would be a witness to it. Judgment Day. Alessa?
Shut your stinking mouth, bitch!
Definitely some strong words from Heather, but we don't have a lot of time. We've only kind of kept the god inside of us at bay. And I know I've never looked at this magical pendant that has always been in Heather's inventory since the beginning that her dad gave her, but let's go ahead and take a look inside of it. Oh look, there's a little red tablet in it. And if we remember the book we found in Alessa's hospital room, well, yeah, let's go ahead and swallow it.
What are you doing?
Dad.
She is nearly here. Alessa, what have you done? What did you swallow? What is this?
Looks like God didn't make it.
Stop! God is...
Claudia!
Alessa, you cannot kill God. I will burn God. If you can't do it, Alessa, I will.
Claudia! Claudia!
And so Claudia has ingested the aborted fetus of God and has been ripped down into the metal vagina in the floor. I'm just getting overwhelmed with all the symbolism here, so let's go ahead and hop down in and face the final boss.
Can't be dead. I was gonna kill you. This is God?
So our final boss, with a shrouded head and breast of melded flesh, we have to fight Claudia. Well, God Claudia, or whatever you want to call her. She only has 2 attacks. One of them is that fire attack, which, as you can tell, does way too much damage. And she also has a swiping attack if you remain too close. Basically, the semicircle is a good indication of range on her swipe attack. Needless to say, she takes a lot of damage. And honestly, the shotgun isn't going to do it, so I think it's time to pull out the big guns. That's right, Heather has a secret mysterious power, and we're going to go ahead and use that.
And shoot.
That's right, since Claudia has reached her ultimate form, I think it's time that we ourselves transform into our true selves, and that is Princess Hadoru. That's right, we are now very kawaii, moe, tsunedre, I don't know. We now have magical beams that we can shoot out, full of love and compassion and sympathy, to hopefully murder this horrible bitch. Now, our primary fire does have a homing effect, but we do have a secondary fire that we can fire directly into the fetus in her stomach. But even with all this ultimate mega uber ultra power that we have, well, ultimate Claudia still has a lot of health. And she does a lot of damage with the fire. And honestly, there isn't that much to this fight. It's kind of a letdown for a final boss. It just takes way too long. So I decided to speed it up. And actually, this is the end of the LP. All that's left is to watch the ending and watch the credits. So hopefully you all enjoyed this trip through Silent Hill 3. And hopefully you'll join me next time for whatever LP I plan on doing. But yep, this is Negral saying bye as I'll let this finish out, and hopefully you enjoy the ending to the game. I think the ending really seals up the game very nicely. But yeah, see you next time.
Is that the end? I guess it's time to roll the credits. Dad! Dad! I'm home, Dad. Listen, something crazy is going on.
Cheryl, you're back. What happened?
Well, it's like this. And that's about it.
Oh, my poor little Cheryl. I can't believe that. I'm going to Silent Hill, and I'm gonna bust some heads.
Oh, Dad, you're the coolest!
さあ、良い子のみんな、集まれーよ、良い子のみんな、そろそろ UFO エンディングとか飽きちゃってんじゃないのかい？飽きたよーし、みんな素直だ。素直が一番成長するぞ。それじゃあ、そんな成長期のみんなでサイレントヒルの歌を歌おうかな。よーし、いくよ。ワン、ツー、ゴー、7。シェイク、ヨーメン、ヨー、ヨー、シェイク、シェイク、シェイク、ヨー。サイレントヒルの歌、みんなで歌う。みんなで歌いましょう。じゃあまずはクローディアの歌ね。みんなは歌わなくていいよ。クローディア、本当は優しいおばさんだ。お菓子とか買ってくれるし、お年玉くれるし。だけどね、怒ると怖い。サイレントヒルの歌、みんなで歌おう。みんなでヴィンセントいくよ。ヴィンセント、本当優しい親思い。横断歩道でおばあさんの手とか引いてるし。だけどね、わがままだよ。でも偉いじゃん、おばあちゃん引いたんだ。 朝とかやたら早いし、磯の香りするし。それはね、魚屋さんだから。はい、カンパチやすいよ。
カツオください。
最後にヘザーね。ヘザー。ヘザー。本当はバツイチ2児の母。育児とか大変だし、パートも行けないといけないし。だってさ、ヤンママだから、なめんなやって感じサランティヒルの歌みんなで歌おう